A silence thicker than vacuum followed. Then cheering. Tentacles waved credit chips. Somebody threw confetti made of receipts. Evan froze. Wait, no, I meant, I need a slave processor chip. Like, for robotics. The announcer, a nine-eyed slug in a bow tie, boomed, the human desires flesh ownership. At last, a classic. Flesh ownership. Evan squeaked. Before he could back away, guards shoved him toward a podium ringed with chains and holographic flames. A curtain lifted. Out stepped an alien woman, silver skin gleaming, long tail swishing, collar sparkling like a cursed necklace. She looked equal parts furious and theatrical. Her voice purred through the translator, "Will you buy me and keep me as your slave?" Evan's brain blue-screened. What? No, why? The crowd gasped as if he'd delivered poetry. Someone shouted, "He plays hard to get. The ancient right." He waved his hands. "I don't even have room on my ship for." The announcer, "One bid from the great buyer." "What? I didn't bid anything." A holoscreen blinked one credit next to his name. Apparently sneezing counted as a gesture of commitment here. The alien girl tilted her head, tail curling around her ankle. "You're my buyer now." Evan stammered, "Look, I'm just here for ship parts, not people parts." She leaned closer, voice low enough to short-circuit his dignity. "Then you should read the fine print before shopping intergalactic Craigslist, human." Laughter rippled through the crowd. The auctioneer's slime bubbles formed heart shapes. Evan looked for an exit. "Maybe if I return policy." The slug shook its bow tie. "All purchases final. No refunds, no rescues." The chain snapped loose, and the girl stepped beside him. The translator labeled her Lyina, property of Evan Reed. Great. His life officially had a title card. As they walked offstage, cameras flashed. Microdrones followed, asking invasive questions like, "Is ownership a metaphor for commitment? Are humans into metallic bondage now?" Evan muttered, "I'm gonna die of embarrassment before re-entry." Lyri'na smirked. "Relax, Master Buyer. You only own my freedom, my dignity, and possibly my soul. No pressure. Don't call me that. But it's traditional." She tapped her collar. "See? Says property of the buyer. It's practically branding." "Yeah, well, it's false advertising." She laughed, melodic and maddening. "Most relationships are." Evan nearly tripped over a droid. "This isn't a relationship." "Then why are you blushing every time I call you master?" "I'm blushing because this planet has 3 suns." A reporter drone zipped closer. "Human Reed, how does it feel to purchase the first volunteer slave of the new era?" "Volunteer," he yelled. She volunteered." Lyri'na winked. "Technically, yes. It's complicated. Think of it as performance art." "Performance? You were pretending to be a slave." "Pretending, enslaved, freelance influencer, labels. She twirled the chain like a fashion accessory. "The moment you bid, the algorithm made you trend. Congratulations, you're famous." Evan's communicator exploded with notifications, #great buyer #new master #earth daddy. He groaned. "Perfect. I've gone viral for human trafficking." Lyri'na grinned. "Relax. Half the galaxy thinks it's foreplay. The other half ships us already." They passed a vendor selling official chain merchandise. Evan's own horrified face was printed on mugs captioned, "By me maybe." He buried his face in his hands. "I need a drink." "Technically," Lyri'na said, "I'm programmed to fetch those for you now." "Don't." "Too late." She gestured to a stall. "2 binary brews, please. Put it on the master's tab." The bartender, a rock with arms, winked. "Lucky human." Evan sipped, muttered, "Unlucky chromosome, more like." "So," Lyri'na said between gulps, "what's your deal? You look like someone who apologizes to doors." "I design fusion engines. I don't, people. Clearly, she said. Still, you saved me from another buyer. He collected sentient pets. Named them after lunch meats. Well, Evan admitted, I guess I'm better than being called Bologna. Barely, she teased. He exhaled. Okay. Let's clear this up. I'll file the ownership annulment with the Bureau of Sentient Rights, and you'll be free. She tilted her head. You think they'll believe the great buyer doesn't want ownership? That's heresy where I'm from. Heresy? Yes. Freedom is punishment. Ownership is love. The deeper the chain, the deeper the devotion. Evan blinked. That's disturbingly poetic. And effective branding. Another drone hovered. Master buyer. Smile for the believers. Not believers, I'm not starting a religion. The drone sparkled, broadcasting live. The great buyer denies his divinity, a humble act. Lyri'na giggled. Too late. Every word you say is scripture now. Evan nearly choked on his drink. Scripture? They'll write songs about your sneeze. He stared at the crowd forming outside the bar, hundreds of aliens kneeling, chanting, Buy us, great buyer. Claim us as yours. Oh no, he whispered. They think I'm open for business. Lyri'na adjusted his collar like a proud manager. Congratulations, master. You've gone from single engineer to messiah of codependency. I just wanted a bolt, he murmured. And now you own a civilization's heart. He rubbed his temples. This is why I stay inside. She smiled slyly. Inside me or inside your ship? He sputtered. That's not. Relax. Adult joke. You really are innocent, aren't you? I prefer the term chronically unlucky. Same thing, different position. Evan groaned, head thunking against the table. The crowd outside grew louder, rhythmic, chanting his accidental catchphrase, Buy me, keep me, chain me in love. Lyri'na leaned forward, eyes glinting. You know, Master Buyer, if you play this right, you could change the galaxy. I don't want to change the galaxy. I want a refund. She grinned. Too late for refunds. You sneezed the sacred sneeze. Now everyone wants to be owned. Can I at least unsubscribe? Not from Destiny. Evan sighed, watching as the alien paparazzi flashed lights bright enough to burn retinas. Somewhere, a choir started humming what sounded suspiciously like a remix of his sneeze. Lyri'na clinked her glass against his. To accidental fame, unwanted responsibility, and the kinkiest misunderstanding in galactic history. He muttered, to bad translators and worse life choices. They drank. The crowd outside roared. A sign unfurled over the bazaar in neon letters. Hail the great buyer. Evan buried his face in his hands. I'm so screwed. Lyri'na smirked. Don't worry, Master Buyer. That's chapter 2. The next morning Evan woke up to 3 sons, 42 reporters, and 1 alien girl humming what sounded like a hymn about his eyebrows. His ship's hull was plastered with holoads reading Join the Church of the Great Buyer, and Chains of Love, limited edition. He stumbled out in his jumpsuit. Lyri'na, why is my ship trending? She spun around, wearing a robe that looked suspiciously like stolen curtains. Because, Master, you performed the sacred sneeze of ownership in public. That's basically a coronation. I sneezed, he said flatly. Yes. And now you rule a faith built on sinus pressure. He opened his holofeed. Thousands of messages poured in. Please claim me, great buyer. By my soul, it's lightly used. Is there a couple's tier? Oh no, he whispered. They've made it monetizable. Lyri'na smiled. Welcome to religion, darling. A drone floated nearby, projecting his face across the plaza. The caption read, The Great Buyer Speaks Through Silence. Evan muttered, I'm going to strangle my translator. Lyri'na adjusted his collar. Careful, that gesture means foreplay in 7 systems. He froze mid-motion. I can't even look frustrated without starting an orgy here. Not an orgy, she corrected sweetly. A devotional cuddle cluster. He groaned. Great. Galactic Woodstock, starring me. They walked toward the bazaar square, where hundreds of aliens knelt, holding up chains like metallic prayer beads. Lyri'na raised her arms dramatically. Behold! The great buyer blesses your shackles. Evan hissed, Don't bless shackles. The crowd gasped as if he'd uttered divine mystery. A translator but shouted, The buyer rejects shackles, he loves freedom. The aliens erupted in cheers. Lyri'na whispered, See? You're a prophet of paradox. I'm a guy who needs a refund. Too late. Vendors were already hawking Freedom brand chains, approved by the buyer. One particularly entrepreneurial jelly creature waved a sign, 2 for 1 salvation. Buy 1 bondage, get 1 enlightenment free. Evan rubbed his temples. Is everyone insane? Probably, Lyri'na said. But insanity pays. Speaking of, our followers started a donation drive. A what? She handed him a datapad showing transaction streams labeled Blessed Chain Level, Preferred Slave Tier, and Cosmic Sugar Daddy Status. He blinked. They made a subscription service out of me. Of us, she corrected. I'm the High Priestess, remember? High Priestess of what? Miscommunication. She pouted. Don't be mean, Master. I'm building our brand. He looked skyward. I can't believe I'm arguing about branding with my accidental cult manager. Lyri'na tapped her chin thoughtfully. We could release a devotional calendar. I'll pose with various chains. Tasteful lighting, obviously. Absolutely not. Fine. Behind-the-scenes documentary. No. Cooking show. He blinked. Cooking show. The great buyer cooks freedom stew. We'd get sponsors. Evan sighed. You're terrifyingly good at this. She smiled. It's a gift. Just then, a massive hologram flickered to life above the marketplace, an official broadcast from the Galactic Bureau of Worship. A stern reptilian figure appeared, robes so stiff they looked ironed by lasers. Attention, citizens, the voice boomed. Unauthorized religions require certification. The cult of the Great Buyer must register immediately or face sanctions. Evan threw up his hands. Finally! Someone rational. The crowd hissed, offended. Lyri'na leaned close. Sure, that's High Deacon Verl. He banned 3 planets for bad branding. The hologram's eyes narrowed. Is the human known as the buyer present? Every alien pointed at Evan. He waved weakly. Hi. Misunderstanding here. I'm not divine. I'm just humble, Verl interrupted. Classic humility display. Approved. Lyri'na whispered, You're certified now. Certified what? Official deity. Evan's stomach dropped. This can't get worse. The deacon continued, You are hereby granted preliminary divinity pending a 10% tithing quota. Lyri'na clapped. Congratulations. We're tax-exempt. Evan barked, We are not a business. The deacon nodded serenely. Excellent, he rejects capitalism. A true saint. The crowd chanted louder. Evan muttered, I miss Earth. At least there I was just underpaid, not worshipped. Lyri'na looped her arm through his. Cheer up, Master. We could use this power for good. Like what? Galactic therapy. Better. Merchandising. He shot her a look. You're kidding. Not at all. Faith is marketing with better costumes. She dragged him toward a nearby vendor's stall. Within an hour, they had an entire product line, great buyer starter chains, hallowed handcuffs, and a scented candle called Submission and Serenity. When Evan protested, Lyri'na patted his cheek. You can't fight the algorithm, darling. Embrace it. He stared at her, frustrated, fascinated. You're enjoying this. Of course. You're adorable when panicking. He crossed his arms. You realize this will implode, right? She leaned in. Implosions make the best finales. A drone interrupted. Master Baya, you have a message from the Galactic News Network. Evan groaned. Let me guess, exclusive interview. Live broadcast. Millions watching. Before he could object, Lyri'na pushed him before the lens. The anchor, a cube with lips, beamed. Great Baya, what inspired your message of consensual chains? I never. Ah, humility again. Inspiring. Tell us, do humans believe freedom is overrated? He opened his mouth. Lyri'na pinched his arm, whispering, smile. Don't deny too much, it sells rebellion. He forced a grin. I think people should, own themselves responsibly. The anchor gasped. Profound. Own themselves responsibly. The new creed. Lyri'na mouthed, see? Viral already. After the broadcast, Evan slumped. I just invented self-help slavery. She grinned. Self-empowerment through ownership. Rolls off the tongue. He buried his face in his hands. I'm doomed. Not doomed, legendary. She perched beside him, voice softening. You could end it, Just tell them the truth. And start an interstellar crisis? They'd crucify me. Or whatever the chain-based equivalent is. Maybe they'd just handcuff you affectionately. Not helping. She shrugged. Then ride it out. Make them laugh before they lynch you. He sighed. That's your philosophy. It's worked for every great comedian prophet. He looked at her, silver eyes reflecting the crowd's torches. You really think I can control this? She smiled. Control? No. But you can improvise. Isn't that what humans do best? He wanted to argue, but the chanting outside swelled again. Buy us, keep us, free us through purchase. He muttered, I swear they invent contradictions just to spite logic. That's faith, she said lightly. Absurdity with better PR. A notification pinged on his datapad. Galactic net earnings summary. Revenue, 3.2 million credits. Evan blinked. 3 million? In one day? Lyri'na twirled her tail. Miracles pay. He stared at her, torn between awe and horror. You're going to get me arrested or knighted. Why not both, she said. Infamy's just fame with confidence. He laughed despite himself. You're impossible. She grinned. And you're my impossible human. Try to enjoy it, Master Baya. The universe rarely gives anxiety a fan club. He looked at the chanting mob, the glowing signs, the absurd devotion. Somewhere deep down, a part of him stopped fighting. Fine, he said quietly. Let's see how far this madness goes. Lyri'na clasped his hand. That's the spirit. Above them, the holographic sky shimmered with a new ad. The Great Baya returns, coming soon to every planet near you. Evan sighed. And that's how a sneeze became theology. Lyri'na smiled wickedly. Bless you, Master. Evan had given up trying to stop it. The cult now had merch, theme songs, and a mobile app that tracked how owned you felt spiritually. Every ping from the app played a clip of his voice saying, Buy responsibly. Lyri'na sat at his ship's console surrounded by boxes labeled official Great Baya merchandise. Sales are up 20%, she said cheerfully. Apparently, being enlightened pairs well with scented candles. He groaned. There are toys shaped like my head, Lyri'na. Someone made a plush chain that says squeeze me, I'm compliant. That's the spirit of devotion. You inspire cuddly submission. Stop saying things that sound illegal in 5 galaxies. She smirked. You could monetize that line. Evan slumped into his chair. You know what I miss? Privacy. Quiet. People who didn't chant when I sneezed. You sound like a retired demigod. I am a retired demigod. I quit before the first sermon. The ship's holoscreen flickered on, displaying a news anchor wearing a freedom chain necklace. In today's galactic trends, the cult of the Great Buyer has surpassed the Church of Eternal Moisture as the fastest-growing belief system. Analysts credit its relatable theology, regret, sarcasm, and retail. Evan rubbed his eyes. I'm competing with the religion of humidity. Lyri'na handed him a datapad. We're also invited to the Interfaith Summit. They want you to deliver a keynote on ethical ownership. He choked on air. Ethical what? It's symbolic. You'll talk about responsibility while looking tortured and adorable. It'll go viral. I already went viral. Twice. One of them involved a sneeze, the other a typo. She leaned closer. Then make it a trilogy. Why do I feel like you enjoy watching me implode? Because implosions trend better than miracles. He stared at her, half amused, half exhausted. You're dangerous with optimism. And you're cute when defeated. Before he could reply, the ship's comm buzzed. Incoming message from Galactic Revenue Service. A metallic voice filled the cabin. Greetings, Great Buyer. You have been designated a faith-based commercial entity. Please submit quarterly tithe returns. Evan yelled, I didn't make money on purpose. Intent irrelevant, droned the voice. Failure to tithe results in divine audit. Lyri'na whispered, Ooh, divine audits. Those are nasty. They send inspectors with clipboards and existential questions. Evan buried his face in his hands. I'm going to be spiritually bankrupt. Relax, she said, patting his arm. We'll write off the candles as devotional expenses. He looked up. You actually filed paperwork. Of course. You're trending across 12 sectors. We needed a business plan. I even hired staff. What staff? As if summoned, a small, excitable alien popped up from a crate. Greetings, Supreme Buyer. I'm your new marketing apostle. Would you like to approve the new tagline, submit with style? Evan stared. Do you all just appear out of boxes now? Shipping synergy, the apostle said proudly. Lyri'na waved her tail. See? Delegation. You're learning. He glared. I'm learning that bureaucracy is the galaxy's true religion. Hours later, Evan found himself dragged onto a holographic stage at the Interfaith Summit. Every species imaginable watched as Lyri'na adjusted his mic. Just remember, she whispered, you're charming when desperate. He stepped up to the podium. Hi. I'm Evan Reed. I'm not actually a deity. I'm an engineer who sneezed in the wrong direction. A murmur swept through the crowd. Someone shouted, humility. Classic divine trait. He sighed. Listen, all I ever wanted was a bolt for my ship. Now you're sending me tax forms shaped like hearts. Laughter. Cameras zoomed in. He was unintentionally killing it. So, he continued, if you insist on following my example, at least remember this: consent, context, and don't turn alleges into theology. The crowd erupted in applause. The next morning, headlines blared, The Great Buyer's 10 Commandments of Allergic Enlightenment. Lyri'na burst into his cabin holding a tablet. You did it. Your humility sermon converted the Church of Moisture. He groaned. I wasn't preaching, I was begging for sanity. That's the same thing. The apostle ran in waving more reports. Sales up again. We're launching a new service, personalized blessings. We'll sell audio clips of you saying, I acknowledge your freedom, kind of. Evan muttered, this universe doesn't deserve me. Lyri'na smiled. No, but it definitely wants you. He looked at her, really looked. Beneath the smirk and sarcasm, there was genuine warmth. You're the only one not trying to sell me something. She tilted her head. Who says I'm not? I might be selling you on yourself. Worst sales pitch ever. Yet you're buying it. He laughed despite himself. For a moment, the chaos outside faded, leaving only the quiet hum of the ship and the strange comfort of her presence. Then the comm beeped again. A nervous official appeared on screen. Great Buyer, the Galactic Church of Ownership has declared your teachings heresy. They intend to reclaim all followers, by force. Evan blinked. They are declaring war over who owns the concept of ownership. Lyri'na sighed. Irony is sacred to them. Fantastic. How do we fight a religion? Public relations. Public? Trust me, nothing kills fanaticism faster than bad press. Within hours, she'd organized a counter-campaign. Posters of Evan holding a wrench under the slogan "Fix yourself before you chain yourself" appeared everywhere. Meanwhile, their donation totals doubled. He threw his hands up. We're under attack and we're profiting from it. That's divine capitalism. I'm starting to think morality here runs on commissions. Exactly. So, we fight with narrative. He blinked. Narrative. She nodded. We leak a rumor: the Church of Ownership worships expired warranty contracts. That's evil. It's marketing. By midnight, the rumor spread across the networks. Memes appeared of the rival priests hugging paperwork. The church's approval rating plummeted. Evan stared at the analytics board. You just won a war with gossip. She bowed. Public relations miracle, Master Buyer. He shook his head. You know, for someone supposedly enslaved, you're frighteningly in control. She smiled softly. Maybe I never needed freeing. Maybe I just needed someone to listen while I made a mess. He hesitated. And I'm the mess. Perpetually. They laughed together, the tension easing for the first time. Then his data pad buzzed again, another flood of credits, donations, fan letters, and confessions. He groaned. I wanted a quiet life, not a cult-based conglomerate. Lyri'na looked amused. Face it, you're good at chaos. Own it. He rubbed the bridge of his nose. That's what got us here. Exactly. Now smile for the newsletter. Our subscribers love your reluctant profit aesthetic. Evan exhaled slowly. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe this madness can actually do some good. Lyri'na leaned closer. Now you're thinking like a deity. He looked at her, voice low. More like a hostage with PR training. Same difference, she said, grinning. He laughed, shaking his head. Somewhere outside, the crowd chanted his name again. Great buyer! Great buyer! He muttered, I give up. She squeezed his hand. Finally, that's faith. And as the ship's lights dimmed, Evan realized surrender might be the only logical response to a universe that turned irony into religion and somehow made him its punchline prophet. The war began with hashtags. One side shouted #unchain the faith, the other screamed #own your soul. Whole planets stopped trading to argue theology on live streams. Evan sat in his ship's command chair watching it unfold like a traffic accident he somehow married. Lyri'na scrolled through the feeds. Congratulations! You've inspired the galaxy's first marketing crusade. He rubbed his eyes. They are fighting over subscription tiers. Progress, she said. Last century they fought over fonts. An explosion rattled the hull. Outside, the church's ships fired warning shots shaped like glowing ownership symbols. Evan groaned. They weaponized logos. Trademark missiles, Lyri'na said. Very on brand. He looked at her. You realize this is our fault. Mostly yours, she said. But I encouraged it. Equal partnership. Some partnership. You get the robes, I get the lawsuits. She laughed. That's marriage on most planets. He opened his mouth, then closed it. We are not, forget it. The comm crackled. The High Deacon's reptilian face appeared. Great buyer, surrender your followers and all derivative content, and we shall spare your merchandise line. Evan snapped, they are people, not intellectual property. The deacon sneered. Everything is intellectual property under creation. Lyri'na muted the feed. See? Bureaucracy masquerading as holiness. He stood. We end this now. She raised a brow. Bold. What's the plan? I don't know. Honesty worked once. Maybe it'll work again. Honesty, she said. That's practically heretical. Perfect. He activated the broadcast link. Every screen, drone, and neural feed in the system blinked to his face, unshaven, exhausted, undeniably human. Hi, he said. It's me. The so-called Great Buyer. The guy who sneezed his way into divinity. The galaxy paused. I didn't free anyone, he continued. I didn't enslave anyone either. I just made the mistake of being noticed. So if you're looking for salvation, maybe stop shopping for it. The silence was deafening. Lyri'na watched, wide-eyed. He went on, voice steadier. If ownership makes you feel safe, fine. But remember, safety isn't love. Chains don't prove devotion, they just rust slower in comfort. Lyri'na whispered, that's actually good. Yeah, he muttered. Terrifying, isn't it? He ended the stream. For a moment nothing happened. Then every major feed exploded with commentary, half outrage, half admiration, all profitable. The deacon's ships powered down. Across the plaza, protesters dropped their holographic shackles in confusion. Lyri'na exhaled. You might have just converted them to common sense. Evan sank into his chair. I didn't want converts. I wanted silence. Same result, smaller choir. A message pinged from the Bureau of Worship, conflict terminated. Congratulations on your peaceful resolution. You are now classified as philosophical figurehead emeritus. Evan stared at the title. Is that retirement? Essentially, she said. With royalties. He laughed, a tired, genuine sound. I'm getting paid to stop talking. Miracles exist. She smiled softly. What will you do with freedom, Great Buyer? Don't start calling me that again. Habit. He looked at her, silver tail flicking lazily. You could go anywhere now. You're free. She tilted her head. And leave you alone with a universe that thinks sarcasm is scripture. I'd manage. You'd mope. He smirked. Possibly. She stepped closer. Then consider this. Maybe I stay because you never tried to own me. That's a terrible reason. It's the only honest one. They stood in quiet orbit, the galaxy outside slowly unclenching. Messages poured in thanking him, debating him, misquoting him already. The cult was dissolving into forums and merchandise liquidation sales. Lyri'na broke the silence. We could pivot. He blinked. Pivot. To entertainment. The Great Buyer Show. Weekly debates, relationship advice, product sponsorships. You'd rant, I'd look fabulous. We'd make billions. He groaned. You're incorrigible. True. But admit it, you'd watch us. He chuckled. Only to heckle. Perfect. Chemistry cells. The ship's console pinged again. Offer, galactic syndication contract, reality program proposal, by me maybe. Evan laughed until he couldn't breathe. Of course they'd name it that. Lyri'na raised a glass of something glowing blue. To irony, profit, and the mess we made. He clinked his glass against hers. To never buying anything again. They drank, the universe outside returning to its usual chaos. Later, as he watched her adjust course toward open space, he said quietly, You ever think the galaxy just wants someone to blame? Always, she said. But today it blamed you, and somehow you survived. That's impressive. I call it low expectations. She smiled. I call it evolution. Humans turn disasters into punchlines. That's why they fear you, you laugh at the absurd. He shrugged. It's either laugh or implode. Implosions trend better, she said. He grinned. Don't start. I'm serious. You turned devotion into comedy, and comedy into survival. That's divine. Please don't start a new religion. No promises. A pause stretched between them, comfortable this time. So what now? He asked. We travel. Find another planet. Maybe open a cafe. A cafe? Sure. Chains and coffee. Loyalty cards, ironic branding. You could serve freedom with foam art. He laughed again. You're unbelievable. I'm effective. He looked out at the stars, then back at her. All right. One cafe. No sermons. Deal. And no merchandise. She hesitated. Define no. He groaned. Lyri'na. She laughed, tail flicking. Fine. Minimal merchandise. Maybe mugs. Of course mugs. Everyone loves mugs. He shook his head, smiling. You know, if you weren't so infuriating, you'd be perfect. I'm both. That's why you keep me around. Do I? You haven't fired me yet. Can't. You're unpaid labor. Romantic. Tragically. She leaned back in her chair, voice softer now. Admit it, human, you like me. He glanced at her, grinning faintly. You're tolerable. In your language, that's love. Don't push it. She smiled, satisfied. Too late. Outside, the last fragments of his accidental faith drifted across the network, memes, quotes, arguments, and one viral clip of him saying, "Own yourself responsibly." Somewhere a fan edited it into a dance track. Another turned it into a motivational speech. The cult was gone, but the joke lived forever. Evan watched the notifications fade and finally switched the screen off. Let them have their fun. Lyri'na nodded. Faith needs punchlines. Then I've done my part. She raised her glass again. To the great buyer who sold nothing and still broke even. He laughed. To the galaxy's worst business plan. They drank again as the stars blurred into streaks. The ship hummed gently, carrying them toward whatever absurdity came next. Somewhere in the distance, a transmission pinged, new followers debating whether the great buyer still lived. Evan smirked. Should I tell them I'm retired? Lyri'na winked. Never kill the brand, darling. Just repackage. He shook his head, amused. Fine. But if anyone calls me master again, I'm charging royalties. Deal, she said. 50-50 split. He laughed quietly as the stars folded around them, two reluctant icons drifting through a universe that never stopped buying what it didn't understand.